It started with this, a black Model T, 20 horsepower, no radio, no seatbelts. And by 2040, Ford builds electric trucks that drive themselves and power your home. From 1911 to 2040, this is how Ford changed the way the world moves. Origins of a revolution, 1911 to 1927. In 1911, Ford Motor Company took a bold step that would forever change the course of global transportation. It opened its first factory outside North America, Trafford Park in Manchester, England. This wasn't just an expansion, it was the beginning of Ford's international dominance. The factory marked the company's first moving assembly line outside Detroit, producing the legendary Model T. It was a symbol of industrial ambition, bringing cutting-edge American manufacturing methods to a new continent. In this moment, the mechanical hum of steel stamping, the synchronized rhythm of parts snapping together, and the growing clatter of innovation signaled the dawn of something greater than just mass production. It was the start of mass mobility. At the heart of this revolution stood the Model T, introduced in 1908 and produced until May 1927. It wasn't just a car, it was an idea that transportation should be for the many, not the few. By streamlining production and reducing costs, Ford dropped the price from $780 in 1910 to just $290 by 1924. Over 15 million Model Ts were sold, transforming roads from luxury zones into public arteries. For the first time in history, the automobile wasn't a symbol of wealth, it was a tool for freedom. From Tin Lizzie to modernization, 1927 to 1932. The camera cuts to 1927, a year of monumental change. On May 26th, after nearly 2 decades of unprecedented success, Ford officially ended production of the iconic Model T. For many Americans, it feels like the end of an era. The Tin Lizzie, which once ruled the roads and redefined transportation, is no longer enough. The public is demanding more comfort, better styling, and advanced features. Henry Ford, always reluctant to move on from his greatest creation, finally concedes to the evolving market. Inside the massive Rouge plant in Dearborn, Michigan, silence replaces the clang of Model T assembly. For 6 months, the world's most advanced automotive facility undergoes a radical transformation. Conveyors are dismantled, machinery is re-engineered, workers retrained for a new production process. And on November 1st, 1927, the future arrived. The Ford Model A was unveiled. Unlike its predecessor, the Model A feels refined, available in multiple colors, with 4-wheel mechanical brakes, a 3-speed transmission, and a more powerful 40-horsepower engine. It's practical yet stylish, with body options ranging from coupes to convertibles to trucks. Consumers take notice. Between 1927 and March 1932, Ford sold an astounding 4.85 million Model A's, reaffirming its dominance in the industry. But the real story isn't just the car, it's the philosophy behind it. The Model A signals Ford's shift from rigid standardization to more adaptable manufacturing. It's no longer just about quantity, it's about quality and variety. Ford recognizes that the car has become more than transportation. It's now an expression of personal identity. This evolution marks a turning point. With the Model A, Ford transitions from the mechanical age of mobility to the modern age of customization and consumer choice. It's the first sign that Ford will continually reinvent itself to meet the needs of each new generation. Growth and grit, 1932 to 1966. Fast forward to the 1930s and 1940s. Decades of innovation, hardship, and transformation for Ford. In March 1932, amid the depths of the Great Depression, Ford unveiled the world's first mass-produced V8 engine in a mainstream car. This move shattered the belief that high performance was only for the wealthy. With a V8-powered Ford available at a price within reach of everyday Americans, speed and power became democratized, once again proving Henry Ford's ability to shift paradigms. By 1938, Ford introduced a new brand, Mercury, designed to fill the gap between the economical Fords and the luxury Lincolns. Mercury offered performance, style, and comfort for the growing American middle class, reflecting the era's expanding economic aspirations. But the world soon changed. As World War II erupted, Ford halted civilian production and threw its massive industrial might behind the Allied cause. At Willow Run, in Michigan, Ford built the B-24 Liberator bomber, at one point producing one plane every 63 minutes. It was a logistical miracle, cementing Ford's place not just in the auto industry but in the defense of democracy. In 1947, with the war over, Henry Ford II took the helm. Young, ambitious, and determined, he led the company into a new era of global growth. Under his leadership, Ford modernized operations and looked beyond U.S. borders. By 1956, Ford went public and was listed on the New York Stock Exchange, ushering in new capital and corporate governance. The 1950s and 60s brought a wave of icons: the streamlined Zephyr in 1950, the rugged Bronco in 1966, and the legendary Mustang in April 1964. The Mustang didn't just sell, it exploded, creating an entirely new pony car class and moving over 500,000 units in its first full year. Ford wasn't just back, it was setting the pace. Expansion and controversy. 1970 to 2005. In 1970, Ford introduced the Pinto, a compact, affordable car designed to compete with a wave of small, fuel-efficient imports from Japan and Europe. It was a radical departure from Ford's larger, more powerful vehicles aimed at younger buyers and budget-conscious consumers. Priced under $2,000 and designed with speed-to-market urgency, the Pinto initially seemed like a success. Millions were sold during its decade-long run, but the car soon became mired in controversy. A design flaw in the fuel tank led to deadly fires and rear-end collisions, and Ford's internal cost-benefit analysis, favoring profit over safety, sparked national outrage. The scandal severely damaged Ford's reputation and became a textbook example of corporate ethics gone wrong. Despite the setback, Ford rebounded. By the 1990s, the company was aggressively expanding its global footprint. It acquired iconic European luxury brands, Jaguar and Volvo, bringing prestige and innovation into its portfolio. Ford also bought rental giant Hertz, diversifying its operations and gaining valuable logistical infrastructure. Under the Ford 2000 initiative, the company restructured itself into a unified global brand, streamlining platforms, cutting costs, and accelerating development across markets. This was a turning point. Ford was no longer just an American automaker, it was now a global mobility leader. During this era, new models defined Ford's design direction. The Taurus, launched in the mid-1880s but peaking in the 90s, broke ground with its aerodynamic styling and became a top-selling sedan. The Focus, introduced in 1998 globally and in 2000 for North America, blended efficiency with sharp driving dynamics and quickly became a fan favorite. Meanwhile, Ford led in safety and technology. It became one of the first manufacturers to offer dual airbags as standard and began experimenting with hybrid systems and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. Even as competition increased, Ford showed a growing commitment to innovation, adaptability, and global relevance. A strategic pivot, 2024 to 2025. In 1970, Ford introduced the Pinto, a compact, affordable car designed to compete with a wave of small, fuel-efficient imports from Japan and Europe. It was a radical departure from Ford's larger, more powerful vehicles aimed at younger buyers and budget-conscious consumers. Priced under $2,000 and designed with speed-to-market urgency, the Pinto initially seemed like a success. Millions were sold during its decade-long run, but the car soon became mired in controversy. A design flaw in the fuel tank led to deadly fires and rear-end collisions, and Ford's internal cost-benefit analysis, favoring profit over safety, sparked national outrage. The scandal severely damaged Ford's reputation and became a textbook example of corporate ethics gone wrong. Despite the setback, Ford rebounded. By the 1990s, the company was aggressively expanding its global footprint. It acquired iconic European luxury brands, Jaguar and Volvo, bringing prestige and innovation into its portfolio. Ford also bought rental giant Hertz, diversifying its operations and gaining valuable logistical infrastructure. Under the Ford 2000 initiative, the company restructured itself into a unified global brand, streamlining platforms, cutting costs, and accelerating development across markets. This was a turning point. Ford was no longer just an American automaker. It was now a global mobility leader. During this era, new models defined Ford's design direction. The Taurus, launched in the mid-1880s but peaking in the 90s, broke ground with its aerodynamic styling and became a top-selling sedan. The Focus, introduced in 1998 globally and in 2000 for North America, blended efficiency with sharp driving dynamics and quickly became a fan favorite. Meanwhile, Ford led in safety and technology. It became one of the first manufacturers to offer dual airbags as standard and began experimenting with hybrid systems and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. Even as competition increased, Ford showed a growing commitment to innovation, adaptability, and global relevance. Strategy in flux. By mid-2024, Ford found itself at a critical crossroads in its electric vehicle, EV, journey. After years of bold declarations and ambitious EV targets, the company began making sharp adjustments to its strategy. Facing mounting production costs, softening EV demand in some markets, and increasingly fierce competition from Chinese automakers, Ford took decisive action. Several planned EV SUV projects were either scrapped or postponed. Instead of charging full speed ahead into an all-electric lineup, Ford pivoted, strategically prioritizing the expansion of its hybrid offerings. The company announced a major ramp-up in hybrid production, especially for its most profitable nameplates like the F-150 and Explorer. The move aimed to bridge the gap between internal combustion engines and full electrification, giving customers more affordable and familiar options while still improving emissions. Performance. At the same time, Ford began restructuring its battery supply chain, seeking U.S.-sourced materials and partners to meet eligibility requirements for federal EV tax credits under the Inflation Reduction Act. These efforts were intended to lower costs, increase accessibility, and boost production scalability. CEO Jim Farley addressed the shift directly, noting the growing pressure from Chinese automakers who were rapidly flooding global markets with high-tech, low-cost EVs. Brands like BYD and NIO were setting aggressive price points, especially in Asia and Europe, forcing legacy automakers to rethink their pricing models. It's not just about building EVs, Farley admitted in interviews. It's about building the right EVs at the right price and doing it profitably. Rather than doubling down on a losing race, Ford chose to retool quickly, favoring a diversified portfolio that includes gas, hybrid, and electric options. This pragmatic reset reflected a company determined not just to keep up with the future, but to build a sustainable path toward it, even if that meant rewriting the plan. The promise of a modern Model T moment. 2025. In 2025, Ford's CEO Jim Farley made headlines with a bold promise, one that echoed the revolutionary spirit of Henry Ford himself. During a high-profile press event, Farley announced that the company would unveil a groundbreaking new electric vehicle on August 11th, calling it a potential Model T moment. The reference wasn't made lightly. Just as the original Model T democratized the automobile in the early 20th century, Ford's new platform aimed to do the same for electric vehicles in the 21st century. At the core of this vision was a completely new, low-cost EV architecture. Designed and engineered in a secretive Skunk Works lab in California, staffed by a team of elite engineers, including former Tesla talent, the platform was purpose-built from the ground up for affordability, efficiency, and mass appeal. Farley revealed that Ford's target was to launch vehicles on this platform with a base price around $25,000, well below most EVs on the market today. The platform would support a wide variety of models, including a compact SUV, a small pickup truck, and even dedicated vehicles for ride-hailing services. Crucially, these vehicles would use lithium iron phosphate, LFP, battery technology, a more affordable and durable alternative to traditional lithium-ion cells. And thanks to domestic battery sourcing and US-based production, these vehicles would qualify for full federal tax credits under the Inflation Reduction Act, making them even more accessible to everyday drivers. Farley emphasized that this wasn't about chasing trends or headlines. It was about scale, sustainability, and delivering what the market really needed, an electric vehicle that regular people could afford without sacrificing practicality. With this announcement, Ford wasn't just launching a new car, it was launching a new chapter, a return to the company's roots of making mobility accessible to all. Looking through the windshield to 2040, visualize driving forward into the year 2040. The roads are quieter, cleaner, and smarter, and nearly every vehicle wearing the Ford badge hums silently with electric power. By this point, Ford expects to have completed its full transition to electric vehicles across the globe, in line with its commitment to the international Route Zero initiative. The roadmap is clear. Phase out new internal combustion engine sales in leading markets like North America and Europe by 2035 and achieve a full global transition by 2040. It's not just an emissions goal, it's a reinvention of what it means to move. But Ford's transformation isn't limited to powertrains. Beyond electrification, the company is investing heavily in next-generation mobility. By 2027, a brand new electric pickup is set to roll off the line, smaller, more affordable, and built for the electric era. Following close behind are electrified commercial vehicles, including transit vans and delivery trucks, designed to meet the growing needs of urban logistics and zero-emission zones. Autonomy, artificial intelligence, and integrated mobility services are no longer buzzwords. They're baked into every aspect of Ford's vision. Much of this innovation stems from Ford's Skunk Works division, a secretive engineering team led by a former Tesla executive. Their goal? To build flexible, scalable EV platforms that can be used across vehicle segments, from fleet-focused workhorses to personal daily drivers. These platforms are modular, efficient, and tailored for rapid production, designed to give Ford the agility of a startup with the scale of a legacy giant. By 2040, the company that once put the world on wheels is leading the charge into a new age of transportation. Sustainable, accessible, intelligent. In many ways, it's a return to Henry Ford's original mission, but reimagined for a planet that demands more responsibility, more equity, and more vision. From Trafford Park in 1911 to a global electric fleet in 2040, Ford's journey is one of relentless reinvention. The Model T democratized mobility, Today's new Model T moment aims to make EVs affordable and widespread. The next chapters are unwritten, but the drive towards innovation, accessibility, and sustainability continues.